Hey everybody, welcome to RAM Chat and RAMcast. I'm Erin Crew, Director of Communications, Marketing, and Media, and I have with us today Andrew Rothermel, Manager of Communications and Media. Andrew, hello, welcome back to the show. You've been on a hiatus a bit.
Yeah, but I'm glad to be back. You're in my second office. I'm in my main office.
Yep, this is a different background for me. We had a meeting this morning. The benefit of doing these episodes virtually is that we can have these episodes filmed and recorded anywhere. So let's see, you want to wave through that window there?
I do miss the podcast studio though. All that equipment in there, having some people in person. So I'm very excited to get back to that as well.
Yep. So I would say this episode of RAMcast is probably going to be the most similar to our pre-COVID episodes. Today, we're going to talk to two of our art teachers because it is Youth Art Month. So we do have two of our art teachers. We have a high school art teacher and our 7th grade art teacher coming on just after this. And I'm really excited to talk to them. Little known fact, I was going to be an art teacher until I got into the classroom and realized I should not be a teacher.
I also hear they're both from Kutztown.
They're both from Kutztown.
I'm a graduate of Kutztown.
I was going to go to Kutztown for art education. That took a turn. I still ended up in public ed, just in a completely different role. They are absolute superstars for taking on everything they take on every day. So that'll be exciting. Oh, and Brandon joined us as well.
Hi, Brandon.
You never know who's going to walk through the TV studio.
Yeah, you never know. That's when you're out and about, you never know what's going to happen. But that's the beauty of it, right? Never know. Another fun fact, when I was at Kutztown, I was also at one point, graphic design was my major as well. And then I changed it to electronic media. And I think one of our guests has a degree in graphic design from Kutztown.
Art spans and touches so many different aspects of life. And I think, Andrew, is that one of your 3 things to know?
Yes, it is. And I'm just going to touch on the main ones, but there's visual arts, literary arts, performing arts, and then there's other arts like applied arts, and video games are also an art form. But within these arts, there's architecture, ceramics, drawing, painting, graphic design, dance, music, theater. There's so many different kinds of arts and variety of arts, and everyone has their own kind of niche, and might be able to find it one day.
And I would say broadcast media, working with film, working with video is definitely an art form.
I didn't even think of that.
Your wife and I spend many hours on TikTok sending videos back and forth. Those are very creative videos.
Yeah, and even the stuff we produce, and all the stuff we produce, like video editing, is an art form. So that's what we're doing right now.
To find the right clip to go with the right music. I mean, it's more than just throwing some stuff together. It does take a lot of work and a lot of creative work. So this will be a nice episode. I'm excited. So that was one of your 3 things to know. Do you have 2 more for us?
I have one more. And
we're doing 2 things to know today.
This episode's coming out the 2nd week of March, which at the end of the week is daylight savings time. So don't forget 14th. To spring forward and then get ready for it to be light till like 7:30, 8 o'clock.
We lose an hour of sleep.
Yes.
But it's bright so much longer. This has really been the first.
When you get home from work, you can go for a walk. You can go for a jog.
This has been the first week of good weather, and it's so nice. I think today it's going to be 70, I heard, ish. Yesterday it was in the 60s. We took a long walk with the dog. So that extra hour makes a huge difference. And I think we're all ready for a little bit of sunshine.
Yes. Keep your fingers crossed. I think it's supposed to get cold again, but don't take that from me. I'm not a meteorologist.
Stop it.
That's an art form.
Is it?
Is it? Might have to look that one up.
Well, probably not meteorology, but the graphic design in the background with the maps and the cutting in and out.
Acting.
Acting is an art form.
Talent.
We would have to
talk to the professionals.
Check with a meteorologist on that one. But why don't we bring in Cori and Chrissy?
Sounds good.
So we're here this month to talk about Youth Art Month, which celebrates the importance of art activities for children and encourages schools and youth groups to use their art programs. And we have with us today two of our art teachers, Chrissy Moyer and Cori Rudloff. Hello, welcome to RAMcast. How are you?
Hi, good.
So this is the first time for both of you to be on the show, and we're talking all about art this month. And what I like is that we have our two art teachers who are both women because it's also Women's History Month. And Chrissy, you sort of span both worlds of elementary and secondary because you just came from Limerick Elementary School, and now you're in 7th grade.
Yep, actually I was at Evans Elementary, but that's okay.
That is, I'm batting 1,000 today.
No, so it was good. We I've had actually the pleasure of having kindergarten through actually 8th grade because I started out at Springford at the 8th grade center too. So
Okay.
It's nice. Yeah.
So how was it for you transitioning from elementary to secondary in the middle of the pandemic?
It was a little wild. I'm so lucky because the teachers, especially our art department, we really rallied together, and as the elementary teachers during the beginning of the pandemic back almost a year ago, we kind of worked together, and it was really kind of neat because normally we don't get to combine ideas as much during the school year because we're on our own separate schools. But in the spring, we really got together and we made some amazing online lessons for the students last spring. And then transitioning, over the summer and the fall into the 7th grade center, the teachers here have been fantastic, and it's so helpful. And honestly, I'm so lucky to be here because just the nicest staff ever.
Do you have? I mean, this year I'm not sure, but have you had kids yet from Evans coming back up to see again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing. I have a quarter of the school for the next 8 years I will know, which is so exciting.
Oh, that's true.
And every
That
class,
is true.
and when I see them, most of them I recognize them for the most part, but some of them are towering over me now, and they're so tall. And but it's just like yesterday I had them because I really got to know those kids. I had them from kindergarten through 4th grade, so you really get to know them over the years, and it's been neat. So it's kind of you have, especially being new in the building, having a bunch of the school that already knows me, and we have that relationship. It's been a lot of fun.
You've both been at Springford for 14 years. I don't know if you knew that. You were hired the same year, apparently.
We actually went to college together.
I did learn that as well. You were both at Kutztown.
Yep. Yeah.
So did you guys know each other pre-Springford, or was it just coincidence that you went to college together?
Do you want to take that?
No, I think we had a class together. I think we had a couple classes together. We knew each other. And then, Chrissy, were you in the class that we all took together for our masters?
Yep, there was, I forget how.
4 of us. Well, it was 5.
Yeah.
So there was 5 of us that
Yep.
took a class together.
Yeah, and then the day we got hired, we were sitting in the old district office together, getting, for our last interview, hoping to get hired that day. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, I think I went in before you, and then I came out and you were there. It was great. Yeah.
And Cori, you're here at the high school. As we said earlier, when Andrew and I started the episode off, I'm over here at the high school with Andrew today in the TV studio. You're just down the hallway from us as well, up here on the 2nd floor, which is slightly out of the way of our art wing. So what is it that you're doing over here and not down there?
Well, that's probably a question for somebody that built the building, but no. So I got hired at Springford because I could teach anything in the art department, and that's what they needed. They needed an overflow person, and then we did take over the photography courses. So now I'm here I have photography. I have a computer lab. And then this year we have a photography studio, which is amazing. So yes, I'm all by my lonesome, but I do travel every day. So I teach some fine arts classes and then I teach all the photography classes as well.
And are you just in the 10-12 building, or do you go over to 9th grade as well?
Nope, just in the 10-12. At the 9th grade, we do have 2 art teachers. We have a fine art teacher and then also Lauren Kiefer, who does both digital and fine art.
How many art teachers do we have here at Springford? Because it is a huge department when we consider the number of buildings we have and then all of the really specific programming within our secondary schools.
So there's 6 elementary. So you can do the math. Okay, 6 plus
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8.
And then there's 6, 9 through 12. So 14.
It's a huge department. That's amazing.
Yep.
It's kind of the best department.
I
Sorry,
think so.
everybody else.
No,
I mean, aside from the communication department, art department's the best.
yeah, no, we really, I think we complement each other really well. We all kind of bring a little bit of a different spin on things, which I think really helps the students along the way. You know what I mean? I don't know, they get a little bit of everything, and we each have our own, loves in the arts that we really like to focus on for ourselves. And so it's, I don't know, we do have a nice chemistry.
So how
We
did
really
each
do.
of you find your way into education, into art education?
Go ahead, Chrissy, you can go first.
Well, for me, from a young age, I knew I wanted to do something with art. I think, I had a funny story. My mom, during the pandemic, she kind of put together boxes of things from my childhood and delivered them to me at one point. So I was going through old papers and I found like a 4th grade writing where I wrote like, when I grow up, I want to be an art teacher. So I knew, I guess from 4th grade, I didn't even realize I knew it at that age. Now I had forgotten that, but I always loved art. And then honestly, it was actually my 7th grade art teacher that like really encouraged me, which is kind of funny because now I'm teaching 7th grade. But she kind of encouraged me to enter an art contest at one point, and I did well there. And then from there, that kind of just sparked me wanting to take more classes and really, and I ended up going to college for art. I actually got my first degree in fine arts, so in painting, and a minor in art history. And I went to Marywood University for that. And then by the time I got to be a senior, I realized, I really wanted to teach. That was really my passion, because I really, loved working with students. I had done, I had some experiences with that. So then I went on to Kutztown, and I went for my master's of art education there, along with my art cert. So that's sort of a very quick nutshell of my journey. And I was lucky enough to land in Springford.
And Cori, how did you find your way into art education?
A little bit more convoluted path. But I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I really didn't. And I knew I loved art, and I was always in the art room. And I don't even know who told me. They were like, you should go for graphic design, because 1997 was when I graduated high school, and graphic design was really big. It was such a growing field. It still is. So I did. I went to Kutztown for graphic design, and I got my bachelor's in graphic design. And I did it for a while, and I love it. I love digital art. However, I missed the interaction. There's so much time spent at and I say this and laugh because there's so much time spent at a computer when you're a graphic designer. And I miss the interaction of people. And so when I was finished, I worked for some local companies, did some freelance, but went back again for my teaching certificate and my master's of art education. And as soon as I hit the classroom, I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And yeah, I love it. I mean, it's ridiculous and crazy, but it's awesome.
I found my way out of art education. I was going to be an art teacher, and my senior year in high school, I had enough credits. I could do a work study program. So I went back to my elementary school with Mrs. Gwynn, Carol Gwynn, and very quickly learned I should not be a teacher. And thank goodness I did that, because it would have been 4 years later until I started student teaching, and whew, real fast learned not a teacher.
Teaching earlier I feel like that needs to be earlier in the program for a lot of people.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's so different. Like you go through all the classes and then you get to the classroom, and right away, I think you realize, yeah, this is for me, or no, I don't, like, what have I done with the past 4 years? You know what I mean?
You can love art, but then just not have that. It takes something really special and very magic to be a teacher. And kudos to you both for doing it, because you have
Wow.
cycles of kids all day long coming through with so many different talents that you see. And that sort of takes me to my next question. How has technology changed making art in your classroom? Because to draw and to make art online, it's a different skill set.
Do you want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first on this one. So it's a little different for me, right? So photography is has been for years now a digital form. We don't do 35 millimeter photography at Springford. So in that sense, in my photography curriculum, it hasn't changed it that much. I mean, definitely it has in the way I present different things, because demos have become a lot different. But I like to think of technology in the fine arts as just another tool. It can help you so much. Even when you're doing a drawing, technology can be just another tool that you use. There's so many different artists that use digital and hand skills that I think maybe it's just a really good way to open up our students' mind on all the kinds of different art that there is, and also how you can fuse them together. And as for just teaching traditional drawing, we all have just become better at being more flexible and creative. Like there are just ways where, when I was teaching perspective in the high school, perspective drawing, and, I had all kinds of technology around me to get the angles so that the kids at home could see how I was drawing. And it's just, a learning curve, but kind of interesting and fun in a weird way.
Yeah. For me, I mean, as much as I can, the kids are still, it's mostly 100%, hands-on art projects where it's just really me with the technology, the way I'm showing them things, making videos to show them. But as much as possible, it's, they're still physically creating the art online. Although there's been a few cases where students have had, have the programs at home or have the technology at home to create that digital version of what we're doing. So it's kind of opened up some flexibility there, which normally we wouldn't be able to do necessarily all in the classroom. But also, I've been able to talk about, composing a photograph, because, we talk about for our art show, we have a digital or, virtual art show that we did last spring and then this year. So talking to them about how to take a good photograph, that's something that probably normally that wouldn't be happening in 7th grade and on, but to get a good picture, to get it on canvas so I can grade it and do it, see all the details, that's been a challenge and kind of a new thing that's been developed for my room.
And Andrew's working on a special project. And Chrissy, we actually saw you in this special project video from last year when you were collecting items from around your home, I think in our Ramful Learning videos, to make a color wheel. Was that what it was?
Yep, it was a color wheel with my girls. Yeah. Right.
So even back in the elementary life, you were using tech to connect with kids while they were back at home.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think makes a good art teacher? Art teachers are definitely different with different skill sets than maybe a math teacher. What makes, in your mind, a good art teacher?
Well, I would say, definitely having passion, having passion for not only the subject of art and art history, but also passion for teaching, for, working with students. I think, being someone who's like super understanding, because we have, like for me, I see all the students in the school. So we have all different kinds of students and different levels coming in. So having, you know, compassion and empathy for the students, and, you know, being a good listener, but also understanding what's going on, being creative. You know, I think, you know, to reach all those different students, you have to like pull out lots of different tricks in order to, you know, reach them and have them be, you know, really understand your lesson and kind of grab onto what you want them to learn. And, you know, obviously having, I think being knowledgeable of the subject is super important. Would you agree, Cori?
I would. I think all of those things are really good answers to this. The one I would add is flexibility, because nothing ever goes as planned. And in the best possible way, you know, you could demo something to a student, and it, you know, the integral part of art is that we are encouraging creativity, and with that becomes students that will perceive things in different ways and get these solutions that you were like, wow, just never thought of that, and out of the wheelhouse. And that's what we want. But then you have to be able to help that student when they're doing something that is completely different than anybody else. So just being flexible and understanding that, you know, some things work and some things don't. And I think that's a good skill for students to see too, because sometimes things fail and then we just pick it up and we move on and we try something else. And, you know, I think that's really important, especially in art, because they're not going to be great at everything. And sometimes they have to learn that, you know what, it was your first try, let's try again, or let's try something different.
I love that. And, you know, since this is Youth Art Month, let's talk about why art education is important. And Cori, since you just finished, I'm going to start off with you again. Why do you feel like youth art in education is important?
Okay, so I think, so when I teach, yes, I teach photography techniques or fine art techniques. I might teach them how to paint, or I might teach them how to draw, or how to take a photo. But really, that's not what I'm teaching. I'm teaching them how to approach a problem and solve it. We're teaching creative problem solving. And in today's age, we need creative solutions for all kinds of problems. And in art, you can have that flexibility to be creative and to take something, a problem or a assignment, and find your own way through it, on the way learning how to problem solve, how to get to that solution, and learning how to fix things that go wrong. So creative problem solving, I mean, we need it, and that's what art does. We do that, and that's how we structure our lessons. That's
and I think coming off that, like once they're problem solving, then they really build that confidence. And that's something that I'm always aiming for, even the students that come into my room who art is not their favorite, you know, subject, and they come in and then they do a project, and, you know, we walk them through it, they problem solve, and then they get that confidence, like, oh, I can do this. You know, that's sort of always my goal, is to, you know, find those projects that everyone can succeed at their own level, and really feel proud of themselves. So besides, you know, that, I think also, you know, taking risks is another importance of art education, because there's so many times where I just say to the kids, hey, what's the worst that's going to happen if you add a shadow here and it doesn't work out? You know, like there's always a way in art to manipulate it or change it, or, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen, you know? So that, I think that's really good. And, you know, also, I think it also brings the students, they get a more awareness of them, which I think this year I've been really trying to tie in the social emotional learning into it. So I really think, you know, we do a project that where they do a faceless self-portrait. And so instead of focusing on, you know, the features, which, you know, is something that really scares students. Oh, you have to draw a self-portrait, which, you know, is important, has its own place and time for that. But this year, instead, we've been doing, you know, what makes you you, And they've been coming up with, it's more about the text and the words that describe who they are, not what they look like. And so that's been like, this year has brought an opportunity for that, especially this year, where students, have taken a chance to really step back and, be more self-aware. But also, I think art education is important because, they are more culturally aware of their own culture and other cultures. So we're making world connections, we're making personal connections with them through art history and the projects that we do. So I think art education is probably, I don't know if I'm a little biased, but I say one of the most important subjects that students, I think, need to be exposed to and need to have that part of their day, because as they grow older and they're out of school and they're adults like us, I think having a creative outlet is, even if it's not drawing, whatever it might be, is really important to have in your life.
I agree. I couldn't have said that better. And I love that project. That sounds awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to send some pictures of that.
That sounds awesome.
Will do. I just hung some up in the school, so you'll have to, I'll take a couple pictures. I'll send you.
Well, you have two creatives on here with you. I think we agree 1,000%. Art education is so vitally important, and we're so lucky to have a department here at Springford consisting of so many really creative teachers and caring teachers and compassionate. And thank you so much for what you do. This month, obviously being Youth in Art Month, but every single day and all year long, especially during a pandemic, you kept art alive in Springford. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yes,
you.
It's been fun.
We'll have you back on. We'll come up with
I can't
another
wait
episode.
to be on Zoom.
Next time we'll do it in person.
Soon we'll be in person.
Yeah, next year we'll be back to in-person RAMcast. And maybe we'll make art together. Who knows?
Ooh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, teachers have been asking me, Chrissy, you would be great with this too, because you did photography too in college, didn't you? Did you do photography in college?
I took photography, but I did a long-term sub with photography. But
I keep getting teachers asking me to do a photography lesson. Yeah. And I have to do that at some point. I was thinking about in the spring or the fall. So I might email you and be like, can you be my assistant, please? And we can work together.
Yeah, but I did it was darkroom photography, which is
so different.
I know.
Really anymore.
I would like to have darkroom photography, but it's so crazy to have all the chemicals.
Yeah.
I was going to send you both an interoffice envelope full of random art supplies to see, like, during this episode what you could create. But I felt like that might be too challenging with answering the questions and also being creative.
You might not have liked what you got. So
maybe next time.
Like, what was your question again?
What? I'm trying to do this, Erin. You gave us too much to do. Well, thanks both for being on.
Sure. Thanks for having.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, it was fun.
Thanks for listening, and make sure to rate and review this podcast. We have new episodes of the RAMcast every other Wednesday. The RAMcast is produced by the Office of Communications, Marketing, and Media, and special thanks to our audiovisual technician, Rich Privetti. Thanks, everyone.